Welcome back. All right, so we're going to go and do the high-res versions of the posts now. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and set up the high-res stuff, but you'll notice that we're not getting any of the VDB information. And that is just because if we look at the post, I cut off the bottoms there. And so I just need to do another polyfill. So I have it here in my history already. Cool. So I'm going to set that to single polygons, and now we're all capped off. Perfect. All right, so now we have our high-res meshes that we can start to work with. Okay, and what I want to do is drop down that point FOP, and I am going to literally just copy and paste this previous one and see what we get. It won't be right off the bat because we have to just adjust the noise a little bit. So let's go in and adjust the frequencies. So I'm going to set these guys back to 1 and 1. Whoops. Like so. There we go. All right, so I want to, I think, adjust more in the X direction, maybe. That looks better. Really just playing around with the values here. There we go. And you can always go and hook up the color too to see it a little more clearly. Always helps. That looks pretty good. But we're not getting anything from the sides, right? That's not going to work for me from the sides there. So let's play around with these directions a little bit more. And actually, that was pretty good. What we can do is do a double pass here, where we basically mask out these sides. Or we could play around with the frequencies in the other direction as well. Way easier. There we go. So that is working out for me. And you can see on the tops we're getting some nice information as well. It's continuing over, which is great. All right. So I'm going to delete that. I don't need the color there anymore. It's looking pretty good. We probably don't need it as intense. So I'm going to drop that down even more. Yeah, I like that. Pretty cool. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, I actually want to put more of like a circular pattern on tops of these. So what I need to do is I just want to select out that geometry specifically on the tops there. Okay, and let's go and do that. So what I'm going to do is do a group node, and I'm going to call this the tops. Then I want to keep it on primitives, and I want to do bounding regions. Okay, so here, what I want to do is make this the same size as we are in X. So I'm going to use the BB box. And we're going to get that information from, let's do the wood planks here. So point FOP1, or we'll do planks displacement. We'll just call it disp for short. So we want to get the information from that. So planks disp, and we want the DX size, all caps. There we go. Cool. And then I want to position this on the top, so we can just do the $ymax, or no, can't do that one in there. So we have to use the BB box then. So I'm going to get the point FOP3, and we'll do the DYmax. There we go. And then we can just change the size of this so that it grabs just the top pieces. And what I'm going to do is basically use this as a mask. All right, there we go. Cool. So now what I can do is smooth out all those points. So let's do an attribute blur maybe. All right, and we will do just the tops and see if that is giving us anything. Is it blurring it for us? So hard to tell. It's not doing it enough. How about that? So I'm going to drop down a smooth node. Okay. And this one's a lot heavier, which is why I went to the attribute blur first. Or it takes a lot more time to cook. All right, so there we go. That's what I'm looking for. I want some of the undulations from all that, but I actually want to put a different noise on top. So that just helped me clean that up a little bit more. Cool. All right, so now I'm going to drop down another point bop node. So we'll go point bop. Okay, and inside of here, I also want to make sure that we're just working on those tops still. So in here, I'm going to use the ripples pattern. Okay, and I'm going to give it the position. So you can see that it wants UVs. So we just need X and Y information. So I'm just going to grab the X, Z positions of all the points, because we don't need the Y position, just the X and Z. So I need to do a vector to float, like so. And then I want to do a float to vector. And what we'll do, there we go. What we'll do is we'll take the X, goes into the X, and the Z goes into the Y. So now we have those UVs, basically. Okay, and we'll pump this into the color to see what we get. And we are going to need to change this to a really big number, so we can start to see some of this stuff here. And I'm going to change the offset to 0 and 0 for now, because that's the center of the ripple circle, basically, in there. So let's just keep changing this value here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it. And let's just keep going. There we go. Oh, I want to change the decay to almost 0 for right now, so I can see this, all this circle pattern. Okay. So what we can do is at least get this set up first. So what I want to do is try to center this on one of the posts, because then we can take care of the other post later. There we go. And it doesn't need to be, right on center, obviously. This thing wasn't cut straight up from the center of the tree, but sometimes you do see the circles like that. Okay, and this frequency value changes the size of the circles, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. And now what I want to do, I don't want it to be perfect circles. So what I want to do is actually perturb the noise a little bit. And we're going to do that by kind of perturbing or multiplying the actual UVs. So what I'm going to do is drop down a turbulent noise and then multiply it by, or multiply the UVs there, the clean UVs, by this noise, and pump that into the UV. And I need position information here. There we go. And you can see that what it'll do is it'll perturb the circles for us. And actually, I think instead of multiplying, that's a little too intense. Let's do an add, just so it kind of pushes it a little, pushes the positions here in this UV information. So let's try an add instead. That's what I'm looking for. All right, so now what I can do is change this to perturb those. And you can see it's moving the UVs a little bit. We can then maybe change the roughness here. It really messes it up there. Cool. And that's pretty much what I'm looking for. It's not too shabby. We'll do something like, again, you can keep playing with this for days, and so I don't want to make the videos too long here. I kind of like it a little bit larger like that. It's kind of like you want to do 2 passes of noise almost. That's pretty good. And always play around with the different noises, so I'm going to use the sparse convolution instead. I like the patterns there. We can change that amplitude a little bit more and then go back into the ripples. Let's get rid of that multiply. If we go back into the ripples here and then just adjust the offset again, I mean, you could put it wherever. I just kind of find it neat sometimes that you do actually see the rings there. All right, and then for this one, what we'll do is, now I need 2 masks, right? So I can make this actually pretty easy on myself by just applying this to the color, right? So what we're going to have to do is So now we have the tops up here. I want to then do another group. All right, so this one is going to be, actually what we'll do, no, this is fine actually, yeah. So I'm going to call this one left top. And we'll again do a bounding box. And for this one, just for time's sake, I'm just going to move this one over and grab just the top here. There we go. And then we can do a group combine. Like so. And we can say that tops does not equals all but left top. Or we can say left top equals all but top, or tops. Sorry, just thinking about this. Okay, so I actually wanted to put in the new name, so we'll call this the left, because I already used left top, equals tops, and then what we're going to do is do an exclusive with left top. Let me just take a look. Left top. There we go. Intersection. That's what I wanted. All right, so now left is this side. Cool. And so I'm going to pass all that information into, thanks for bearing with me there. I'm going to pass all that information into this point VOP here. And we can now use those particular two groups. So tops, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then we'll drop another point VOP down. And actually, I'm just going to copy this guy. We'll just change the group. And I'm going to leave it so that this puts the displacement map, or this alpha that we're building here, into the color. Because then what I want to do is just replace that on just the left. So now if I come in here, I'm going to go to ripples and I'm going to adjust this offset over here. Now I want the circle. There we go. Maybe we'll put it in the back there. And there we go. So now I have the displacement map. So now I can just do a basic displacement. So if we actually put some color in first, so after the smooth here, if we just drop down a color node, I'm literally just building up a mask. There we go. So now I can drop down another point VOP node and do the displacement. Or you could do a little bit of Vex. Just do a wrangle, since we haven't seen this too much yet. So we could say at p.y plus equals at cd.r, because right now the vertex colors are housing that, and you can see that that is in fact working. Cool. We're going to have to actually multiply that by a parameter, so we'll call this scale. All right, then we'll just put that in there, and now I have control over just that displacement. And actually it's kind of better this way because I do just want the up and down displacement. I don't want to use the normals for this particular effect, so I just kind of want to push them up just a little bit. We can also drop down an attribute blur. I know it'll work for this guy here, and put in the color, so CD, and we can start to blur the color a little bit more. There we go. All right, so then let's just replace the color with full white, and there we go. So we can go and make that a little bit more displaced. So let's go and scale that up a little bit more. And obviously you can go in and mess around with the noise a little bit more as well. Right, so I think I'm going to leave it like that. I think that's pretty good. But that basically gets the idea across. So now we have all of our components in the high-res format. Let's get rid of this guy because we're not using it. Definitely make sure you save. And let's go and just merge all this stuff together and close this video out with our final high-res mesh. Do a merge and a merge. And there we go. And let's just get rid of all the color. Voila. And let's actually maybe make it a little darker so we can see some of the effects in here. Cool. So there is our high-res mesh. All ready to go for texturing and baking and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's move on and let's cover the baking inside of Houdini and how to set it all up. And then we'll work on some texture stuff. And then finally, to close out the wood wall, we're going to create the tool that allows you to create a whole wall of these based off of a curve or some sort of input geometry that we actually use inside of the Houdini engine for Unity. All right, thanks so much.